Hi, welcome to Danny's Healing Kitchen. I am Danny, an integrative nutrition health coach, and in this episode I am very excited because I have a very special guest with me today. Michelle Joy is a clinical herbalist, and she will be joining me later on my healing segment. We will be talking about oregano, herbs, teas, and so much more. She will be also the one tasting our dish, so please stay tuned. So right now we're gonna be making a very good and nutritious dish. It's lentils with a lot of herbs. This dish is very, very easy. So it's so quick. So if you're a busy mom, like we all are, this is a very good, it's done within 5 minutes. And I do it on the Instant Pot, but you can do it on the stove top. So we're gonna get started. Right now I have these lentils right here. They have been soaked for about 3 hours. So this morning, funny story, I usually soak my grains and lentils with garlic water, but this morning I did not have garlic. So I soaked them in apple cider vinegar instead, which has very similar properties as garlic. I've done that before, by the way. I've soaked some of, I think, quinoa. I soaked it in apple cider vinegar. So hopefully they come out as good as they usually do. So right here, soaking the lentils or any other grain usually helps with digestion and the bioavailability of the nutrients of the lentils or grains you're doing. So we're gonna add onions right here. I already cut them in tiny pieces. So we're gonna add some onions. I love onions. If you are not a fan of onions, you can omit them or just put a little bit of it. So because our episode is all about herbs, I usually do this dish with dried and fresh herbs. So we have right here fresh oregano, and I also have dry oregano. So we're gonna add, which I already cut it right here. I have fresh oregano, sage, and I think I have basil as well. So I'm gonna add them all in here. And for the rest of our spices, I have black pepper, I have turmeric, I have cumin, I have curry powder, and all the rest. So each of them we're gonna add about 1/4 teaspoon of each of these. And if you would like to have a little cheat sheet of how much spice each a dish needs or something, I have one. You can follow me on social media at Danny Bourbon Nutrition, and if you message me, I am happy to send it to you. This is a really good cheat sheet for all the dishes and what they go well with. So I'm just adding all the spices right here and black pepper to our dish. Like I said, this is done in very, very quickly. Within seconds, the dish is done. And we're gonna cook it for because I soaked the lentils for 3 hours, they're gonna be faster to cook. So I'm just gonna add 5 minutes to the Instant Pot. But you can, if you did not soak them, you're gonna probably have to do 15 to 20 minutes on the Instant Pot so they are ready. And I put, what I had here, I forgot to say it, is that I had about 1.5 cups of lentils and double water, about 3 cups of water. So it creates a soup kind of. If you don't want a soup, then you can put less water. But I'm gonna add, for that amount of lentils, I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon of salt. If you don't like too much salt on your food, you can add less. I do love how all these blends together. All the spices and herbs really come together nicely to create a very delicious meal. So we're gonna put it on right here, and that's it. That's a very easy, as you can see. And if I can close it, there we go. And we're gonna put about 1 minute here. So this is it for this segment. Please join me on my next segment, which is the healing segment, where Michelle is gonna join me. Stay tuned. Hi, welcome back. This is our healing ingredient segment, and I have with me not only a friend, a mom, and she has overcome many things, including chronic Lyme, but I have with me Michelle Joy, and that's why she became a herbalist, by the way, that because she had chronic Lyme and many things. So please welcome Michelle Joy. Hi, how are you?
Hey, Danny, it's great to be here today.
Thank you so much for being here. It's really an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
So for our healing ingredient, we have oregano, and because I know you are so knowledgeable about it all, but you have also experienced oregano firsthand with you trying it and things. But first of all, I want you to tell me a little bit why, because in my dish, I included oregano, both fresh and dry. So why should we put oregano in our food or, in any dish that goes along with?
Well, so first of all, plants have a lot of healing qualities to them. And a lot of times people want to just take a pill or do something quick, like put an essential oil on their skin. But when we actually incorporate plants into a dish, those plants mix with other plants in the dish, and herbs and spices actually have what's called a synergistic effect, meaning those chemicals that are within the plants actually work together and actually create more healing properties than if you were just ingesting them by themselves. So putting oregano in your dish along with all of the other spices that you showed, which was awesome and I'm sure it's going to be delicious, is a great idea because the body can, one, ingest it a lot differently than if we just take a pill. And two, when you're ingesting the plant, your whole body is working with the plant, meaning you're smelling it, you're tasting it, you're getting the texture of it. So that holistic quality of the plant is working with the holistic nature of your body. So it just makes it better and the way nature intended.
Nice. Okay. So I love that because that means that our gut and our whole immune system is going to be stronger because of it.
Absolutely, yes.
Nice. Okay. So the next thing I want to touch base, and this is very important to me, that we have oregano oil and oil of oregano. And I don't know, I think I wasn't really aware until we spoke that there is a huge difference between the both of them. And many people ingest them. And one of them could create, is very strong and could create, because oregano is so strong. So I want you to, if you could tell us, what is the difference between oregano oil and oil of oregano?
Sure, and this is actually something very common that a lot of people mix up. So oil of oregano, and you can learn this because the first word is actually the largest part of the ingredient. So when we say oil of oregano, the largest part of the mixture is oil. So typically with oil of oregano, you take oil and then you will put dried or fresh oregano in that oil. Okay. And the oil will absorb the medicinal benefits of the plant, and then you can consume that oil, and it's actually quite good for you and has a lot of medical benefits. Oregano oil is when you take a lot of oregano. When I say a lot, I mean bushels and bushels of oregano, and you distill it down so only the essential oil is coming out of the plant.
Which is the oregano oil is the essential oil.
Correct. Okay. So oregano oil, or also known as oregano essential oil. So one drop of oregano essential oil is the equivalent of like a big bushel basket of oregano. Wow. So you're consuming a lot of oregano in just one little drop. Okay. So there can be some safety concerns when you're consuming oregano oil versus oil of oregano.
Okay, so I know you have experience with that. Do you mind telling us a little bit like the experience you had with consuming that? Or
Absolutely. So a lot of times if you are to ingest oregano oil, the liver can't detoxify it properly. It can actually overwhelm the liver. The other part of it is oregano is an antiviral and an antibacterial. So although it's really great to consume when you're sick, it can actually kill all the good bacteria in your body as well. And before I was an herbalist, I thought I would just try some natural things, and I was told that to help a sinus infection to consume oregano oil, which I did for a period of weeks. And what ended up happening was I killed all the gut flora in my body, and I actually came down with a very horrific case of C. difficile. And C. difficile is a very nasty bacterium in your body that can only grow and promulgate when you don't have enough good bacteria in your body. So I actually had to go on a very long course of antibiotics to kill the C. difficile, which completely defeats the entire purpose of trying to heal naturally. So I would caution anybody against ingesting oregano oil. But oil of oregano, if ingested in moderate amounts, or when you're eating or consuming just the oregano plant, is safe.
Okay, I love to hear that, because I know many people are not aware of those things. And I think many people, including myself, when I started in this journey before, we get involved in all this holistic stuff, we think because it's natural, we can just ingest it. And it's not the case. Like, we need to be careful and be aware of the things that could happen, because this is very strong. And I would like if people, can get advice from either a professional or somebody, and not just to take it as it is. And you already kind of went through that next question about oregano, which is what kind of safety guidelines should we have about it. And when we consume oil of oregano, is there any specific, I know you just said not to consume oregano oil or essential oil, but how about oil of oregano?
Oil of oregano in moderate doses is perfectly safe. I would not consume oil of oregano while pregnant or breastfeeding, just because it is a very strong herb. And a lot of times with the infusion, you do get a very high concentration of those oregano benefits. But in general, as long as you're consuming it just as you would any other oil that you would be ingesting, it should be safe. I would also just recommend that before you're even if you're using oregano oil, consult with an aromatherapist. And if you actually want to use oil of oregano in large amounts for healing purposes, consult with a clinical herbalist.
And the other thing is, like, when we are trying to use these things, is because we're usually dealing with something, an infection or something like that, and trying to do it naturally. And one of the things that you mentioned earlier is that it overwhelms the liver, just because. So there are many things that we can do, and that would be in another show. But there are many things we can do to help the liver as well, if we are doing some sort of detox or trying to heal from an infection or something. Anything else you want to add about oregano, or fresh or dry? What do you think your recommendations are?
I would just say, especially with the fresh, experiment. I mean, oregano is a beautiful, wonderful aromatic herb, antiviral. It boosts the immune system. Put it on some pizza, incorporate it into some salad dressings. Just try and be creative with it. I love that you incorporated it into the lentils, and just be creative.
Oh, nice. Okay, so thank you so much, Michelle. She's going to join us on our next segment, which is our tasting segment. So please stay tuned. Welcome to our tasting segment, and we have Michelle with us. Welcome back.
Thank you.
So for this, I would like you to try, you saw that what I did, I combined many herbs and many spices together, and, just give it a try and see what you think about it. I would love to know your thoughts.
Well, a dish is a lot like a fine wine, so you want to smell it first, right? It smells amazing. It's very aromatic, Danny, and you can definitely tell you've used both fresh and dried herbs in here. So I can't wait to actually taste it. Let's see.
And one thing, let's see how you.
Oh wow!
Is it good?
It's amazing. It is incredible. Yes. You can taste the lentils, but you can also taste all the complexity of all the different spices. And there's a lot of onions in here, but it doesn't overpower the dish at all. It's really quite delicious.
That's what I love. That's what I said. Like, this, it's so easy to make, but it's not to say that it's not good. Like, that's why I would like people, like busy moms or people, just kind of throw things in the Instant Pot, and this is one of them that I would like to, that I include at least once a week in my menu.
It's delicious.
Thank you. And the other thing is that we eat these at home with liver. Yes, we do eat liver. But then you can pair it with anything, quinoa or rice or any other type of thing that you would like as well.
I would even love it with chicken breast.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
Would be great.
Or salmon as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you so much for joining me, Michelle. Our next segment is our Q&A segment, which Michelle and I will be talking about teas and what to include in our daily lives. Thank you so much for joining. welcome to our Q&A segment. Welcome back, Michelle. So we're gonna try to cover as much as we can about teas and herbs and how to include them in our everyday life. So Michelle, I know this is a lot, but first of all, I want to ask you, what is better in terms of consume like teas or even cooking? Is it better dry or is it better fresh? I know many people talk about that and it's a little bit of controversial about that. Can you tell us more about it?
Sure. So it's actually great if you consume it both ways. Plants have a certain amount of beneficial phytochemicals inside of them. When you consume a plant fresh, there's actually more of those phytochemicals than when you consume dry. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with consuming dried herbs. One thing I would caution against, make sure your herbs are not irradiated, because that can actually damage the healing properties of the herbs. You want to try and source organic dried herbs if you use them. Obviously, also when you're using fresh herbs, you get more aromatics coming out of them. So if, say, you're drinking a tea for sinus infection reasons, you're going to get a lot more healing properties if they're fresh versus dried.
Is there anything when we cook, like when we cooked in my dish, the oregano, does the heat kill some of the effects on it, some of the properties that they have?
It's actually, depending on the type of herb, it's actually just the opposite. A lot of times you want a lot of heat to extract those healing properties, which is why often they recommend that you will often create what's called a decoction for some teas, where you will take roots or leaves and you will simmer them and boil them for sometimes 20-30 minutes in order to get all the healing properties out of them. If you're consuming the entire plant, obviously the heating is not as important as if you're drinking something such as a tea.
Yeah, okay. And that's what brings us to our teas. What would you recommend to include? Like, I love tea. Like, I am a tea lover, just because, I've been on this journey. We both have been on our healing journey for a long time, and we experience things and we just play around, to say it like that, with things. And we come, at least for myself, and I don't drink them every day, and I don't drink the same thing, the same kind every day. I switch it around, and some days, when I feel like I'm running down or something, I do echinacea. And I want, if you don't mind, talking a little bit about the different kinds and maybe what is good for some things, like maybe milk thistle. I love milk thistle. So if you want to try to, pick and choose.
So I would say, your body best, right? You can read some recommendations. You can listen to me talking to you right now, and I can make some recommendations, but your body best. So the first thing I always tell people is listen to their bodies, listen to yourself. The other thing is with teas, in order to have medicinal qualities, if you want a tea for medicinal purposes, you actually have to consume a large amount of the herb. So something in a tea bag is not going to give you medicinal quality. You actually need a very large amount of herbs. You need to decoct them. You need to cook them in a special way in order to get that. However, there's absolutely nothing wrong with consuming tea in a tea bag form. It's going to help boost your immune system. It's going to have some healing properties, but nothing to the amount of if you had some medicinal quality amounts. Now, some of these herbs that you have out here are great, Danny. I love these choices. So the milk thistle, which you love, that actually helps detoxify the liver. And we were just talking about earlier about detoxifying the liver. Yeah. So milk thistle can help with liver. Lemon balm is very calming. It actually helps the neurological system. One of the things that lemon balm also does is it helps you through the grieving process. Nice. We have been told in herbalism school that sometimes just gifting somebody a fresh lemon balm plant, if you just put your face in it and breathe the lemon balm, it helps you through the grieving process.
Wow. So it's an emotional support kind of herb.
It's an emotional support plant is what it is. Yes. Reishi actually helps with cancer, has a lot of anti-cancer properties. It's also very, very good for the immune system and the brain. And you have Tulsi, and another word for Tulsi is holy basil. And holy basil is excellent for the immune system, and it also helps homeostasis in the body, meaning it helps bring your body back into balance whenever your body is under a lot of stress. The echinacea is great for the immune system. You have nettle there, which helps with allergies. It's a natural antihistamine. And then you have dandelion, which is also a great detoxifier.
I love that you mentioned all of them, and thank you. I actually combined, when I was on my lowest, I combined like 4 tea bags, different ones at a time. And I did feel a huge amount of difference in my well-being when I did that. And I know even my mother-in-law, she was like, why are you putting 4? That's too much. But I think one of the reasons is what you said, like in order to get what you want, you need to be able to boost that a little bit. So, and I do put, and like she said, you need to listen to your body. And I knew that by doing that, I was okay with it and I felt better. But
it's also, Danny, and what you're doing, just by using your intuition, you're creating those synergistic effects. So a plant actually works much better when it has other plants working with it. So you get a much better healing process. I would also say when you're making tea, you want the water to be very hot. And when you're steeping those tea bags, you want to keep it covered so that all the beneficial properties don't steam out. You want everything to stay in. So you always want to keep it simmering for about 20 minutes before you consume it. A lot of these boxes will tell you 4 to 5 minutes. It really should be closer to 20.
20, okay. How about when it gets cold? I know even my mother-in-law has this scent, like saying that it should not be cold. Like if it gets to a cold point, let's say it's been 30 minutes and it's cold, that the properties has gone out. Is that true at all?
That's really interesting, because we actually, in herbalism, we actually will tell people and clients, because a lot of times they say they can't consume that large of a quantity all at once. Yeah. So we actually tell them to make it in the morning and drink it throughout the day. I don't see any reason why you can't drink it cool.
Okay, nice. I love to hear that, because I didn't know, like I like to consume it hot just because it's nice, especially in the winter. But I didn't know like if that was true or not. You know, there are a lot of myths and stuff that people
I think if you have something like a sinus infection, obviously you want to be opening your sinuses while giving yourself that medicinal dose, and it probably is better if it's hot. But if you're just wanting to consume a cool drink throughout the day, I would much rather you be consuming a cool herbal beverage than Mountain Dew.
Absolutely. So the other question that we have is, what are some safety guidelines in general about herbs?
So first of all, a lot of people assume that just because it's natural, it's good for you. And as we spoke earlier about oregano, there are cautions that you have. I can't sit here and name all of the cautions about all of the herbs, but what I would say is treat herbs just like you would a pharmaceutical cabinet, right? You're not going to go to your medicine cabinet in your bathroom and take an Advil every single day, right? Yeah. So herbs are the same exact way. You want to make sure you're consuming what is right for you at the time. And I would recommend you either get some literature and some books that actually tell you about proper dosing. This is a great resource, one of the many that you can use. This actually teaches you how to incorporate herbs and spices into foods. But there are also very specific resources that you can look at to look at proper dosing and when the right time. But honestly, Danny, I think the best thing is make sure you're consulting somebody that understands the plants. A clinical herbalist will be able to help you through that, and also, more importantly, be able to help you understand that they can interact with pharmaceuticals that you may be taking. Herbs are great, but they can actually make certain pharmaceuticals stronger. Oh, wow. So for instance, if you are taking a blood pressure medication to lower your blood pressure, and then you also take an herb to lower your blood pressure, your blood pressure can sink to dangerous levels. Wow. So you want to talk with an herbalist to understand really the best safety mechanisms for you.
One of the things that I do want to touch base is, by, like, let's say if I would like to, like, let's say drink echinacea every day for no reason at all, just because I want to drink echinacea, like, would the body just get like used to it and don't have any properties whenever we actually do need them? Or is it something that, you know, because many people do that. Like, I think at some point we all do it, just because we think it's natural. So what would you say about that?
You're actually referring to something called being sensitized.
Yes.
Your body can be sensitized to certain things if you're consuming them all the time. And in fact, with Ignatia, the purpose of Ignatia is to boost the immune system. And you can actually boost the immune system to a point where it's no longer helpful and it could start attacking your own body.
Yeah.
So there are definite reasons to moderate what you are taking and what you're putting in your body. And again, that's where an herbalist can help guide you.
Nice. And the last thing I want to touch base is, like, on an earlier episode, I made water kefir, and I talked about how by fermenting the herbs or whatever we do, in that episode I did elderberry syrup, but on this one, I actually brought for you.
Thank
I made
you.
them last night.
It's going to be delicious. I can't wait to try it.
I made tulsi with ginger, I think one of them. This one is tulsi with ginger. And this one is actually milk thistle. So would you tell us a little bit about what would the benefits be about doing those kind of herbs?
These herbs specifically,
Yeah.
so ginger and tulsi. So first of all, ginger is a carminative, which means it helps soothe the stomach. It's great for flatulence. It's great for an upset stomach. That's why the old wives' tale is drink ginger ale when you have a stomach ache.
Yeah.
So it's really great for your stomach, and as well as a fermented beverage is also really good for soothing the stomach.
Probiotics. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. And the enzymes that it has. It helps
Absolutely. The holy basil, again, it's that adaptogen, and it helps just regulate your body and bring your body to a sense of calm. So if you are under high stress, and especially if you have high stress and a stomach ache, this is a great drink to have.
Nice, okay.
This one, you said it was milk thistle. Is there anything else?
Mint.
And mint.
Mint,
Okay.
yeah.
So mint is also a carminative as well.
Okay.
It soothes the stomach, which is often why, Pepto-Bismol is mint flavored. It soothes the stomach. So mint is also great for the stomach and digestion. And then the milk thistle, of course, is great for detoxifying the liver.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to help get all of the foods in your body processing and digesting and moving through your body faster, which is a great thing.
Nice. Thank you so much, Michelle. I really, really am honored to have you here
Not a
in
problem.
the show. But thank you for joining today. This is it for this episode. But if you want more information, you can follow me on social media at Dani Bourbon Nutrition, or you can also email Michelle at the email on the screen. I will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much.